the pathway of local students or students who are very strong in English to start with. Like you said, you started in English 101,
Yes.
right? So you take 101, 102, 103, and after the 103, it's the exit exam. And then there's the KL4. That course focuses on, it's program specific. If you're in fashion design or business management, it's still essay writing, but it's different from the others. Okay? Now, any questions so far?
So far,
So far,
it's okay.
okay. Okay, so students can also start in 002. The 002 course is remedial activities. And then they follow the same pathway except for immersion. So they have 6 hours, 8 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. And the last course will be the 603-103. This is dramatic literature.
Yes.
That will be their last English course, and then the exit exam.
So for the first two paths, they don't have to take the KL4 anymore.
No, no, they don't. The 103 would be the last English course because the KLY has replaced for our international students the KL4, so that you have 2 courses to prepare for the exit exam. Okay, and I'm far away from the placement test, so maybe I should get back to the placement test.
So,
Okay.
So if, like, for example, if anything happens to a student, they have a ticket delay or some health issue,
Okay,
they can take the placement test, or they
okay.
have to-
First, let me give you the dates for the placement test in January.
Yes.
Okay, they are January the 4th,
Yes.
the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and for lates, the 14th, after school has already started, because the first day of classes is January 10th. Okay, so students who arrive late. Now, depending on how late they come, you know,
Yes.
that could be a problem. If they're 3 weeks late, can they start in an English course? I don't know, depends on the level. I suggest as soon as a student knows he or she will be late for visa delay, for any reason, the student should get in touch immediately with admissions and the program directorate.
So they can like fix a way for the student to take the placement test alone, or
Well, depending how, the student will always take a placement test, but will he have to then take a course in the next semester? That depends on the level of language.
so if they doesn't have a placement test, it means that they cannot start the course, or they can still start the course.
Okay, if their English is strong enough and they have missed, I don't know, up to 2 weeks of classes, with the help of a teacher, they will probably be able to start. But if it's a month late, I doubt it.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, so what do student needs to prepare to review for exam, and what kind of reference can we bring into the exam
Okay.
room?
All you bring is yourself and a pen. You'd be surprised how many students come without a pen.
Oh.
Okay? But this year it's different. They're starting an online placement test here at the school. So at the school, it's not overseas yet. However, this is the difference. If the student chooses, because it's a choice, to do the placement test online,
Yes.
computer, it has to be both the English and the French test. Okay? So, if it's only the English test, then the student will have to do it by hand, as we've been doing it all these years. The reason that for so many years the students write by hand the placement test is that the exit exam is done by hand. So we were always worried about, you know, using spell check and using grammar check, and we want to know accurately how the students write. So there's an option to do it online if they do the English first language and French as a second language. But many of our international students don't know a word of French, right? So they will be placed automatically in beginner's level. Okay. What I would like to tell you, though, is that the school on January 9th, for international students, the school is offering 2 information sessions about the placement test.
Yes.
So whatever I'm telling you today will be reinforced then, and perhaps even more information. So the international students will be invited to come to an information session. There's one in the morning and one in the afternoon. I'm not sure of the times. I think it's 10 and 3, but they will have this information. They'll be given this information.
Yes, perfect. So about the topic, so as you said, it's about current topic. And
Yeah, it's quite varied. It could be opinion pieces about relationships. It could be about the environment. I don't recommend that a student go home and start writing essays about environment and pollution and cars and stuff like that when they don't really know what the topic is. But what the student can do is review grammar,
Yes.
right? Review grammar, read some essays. For instance, if the student took IELTS or took a TOEFL, read some samples of 5-paragraph essays, okay? Just to see the structure, the introduction, the body paragraphs, the conclusion. The student cannot bring a dictionary, no dictionaries for this. No, when you are in the classes, the teachers will bother you about bringing dictionaries all the time.
Yes.
During the courses, you must have a dictionary to improve your language level and vocabulary. But at this point, we want to see what your vocabulary level is like without a dictionary. Okay, so just a pen, pens, that's it. We provide everything. What happens is that when the student comes into the venue, into the locale where the placement test is given, myself and other teachers prepare some information to explain everything that has to be done. And we also give loose leave for those students who wish to do outlines, to take notes, right? Because many students, I mean, they can't just start writing an essay cold. They want to write down their ideas, right? They can do that. We collect everything at the end, and then we explain the placement test. The only question we do, well, students will ask questions during the test, okay? But the type of questions we answer, for instance, we explain the question. We explain the vocabulary in the question if the student does not understand the question. And then they will ask, well, am I allowed to use I in the essay? Or they'll ask questions like that. We'll answer questions like that. But when a student says, Miss, can you tell me how to spell comfortable? I'll say, no, don't ask me how to spell any words. We won't give you that information.
So when the student take the placement test, does they require any ID or anything to check before taking the exam?
Absolutely, they require. Well, when they come into the placement test, there's so much information now. It's much better than it used to be. There's a table set up. The student will register. An ID will be checked. There has to be a photo ID to verify that the right student is taking the test, not the twin brother or whatever, or friend. And then the student will be, you have to wait because we set up the rooms. And then the student will come into the room, all the bags and coats and everything, especially in winter, there'll be coats, right? They'll have to be put aside. And just to make sure, no cell phones. We have a really big issue with cell phones, right? Of students plagiarizing. So they will not allow to have their cell phones on them. And then the test is explained. We tell them, if you're sitting, you have an hour and a half for the English test, actually.
An
right?
hour and a half.
An hour and a half to write the English essay, the test, okay? But if we see a student is sitting there for 1 hour and hasn't written anything, we know there's a problem. So we tell them that at the beginning also. If you're having some kind of problem you can't write, please let us know. Then we will come over, we'll do a little interview, maybe ask them to write something else, maybe not. Clearly, some students have handed in empty papers. So obviously, student doesn't have enough English, right? In a case like that. Let's see, what else can I explain to you?
So that's for the placement test. We go back a little bit about the English class. So if the student fail maybe one of the classes here in the pathway,
Yes,
so what would happen to them if they fail the class?
what I have.
Like to retake it? Does
Yes.
it affect the other courses?
Students do fail,
Yes.
but we also have help available. We have an English language center, and there's a lot of help for international students. There's even extra for the immersion, people who start there. So yes, if they fail, and it's not only international students that fail, local students fail too. Okay, there are many factors involved in why a student doesn't pass. Will it affect the other? Well, that's a logistical issue, and it's the administration that works that out.
Yes. Okay. So for, as we mentioned about the English EDIC exam.
Yeah.
So are there any like tips for the
Yeah.
student?
I can give you some tips. Okay, first of all, the exit exam is a 4-hour course.
4 hours.
So it's something that the students will get used to, because if you look at the courses, for the introduction to college English, it's 8 hours, but then it goes into 4, 4, and 4. Okay? Let's see. You will be given 3 texts, just as you have in English KLY and 102. The exit exam closely resembles 102, English 102. It's the same kind of question. It's the same kind of essay that you have written.